Okay, so we're going to use Nearpod today. I'm going to get attendance, and we're going to get started pretty quick since it's a short day, unfortunately.
We have like 30 minutes each class.
We at least have more than 30 minutes. Like my previous two classes, we didn't even get the iPads out, so we're going to do it with you guys. Yes, Tyler. It's nothing. If someone just wants to see Nearpod. Because we're using Nearpod today.
I saw that. I was like,
okay, let me get attendance, and I'm going to pass out iPads to you guys. How was your unexpected break? Horrible!
you know, like driving to the snow is so scary.
Yeah, I barely left the house. How were the roads and everything this morning?
I almost died this morning. There was ice by my mom's house, and I told my brother to be careful. Well, you know, I was the one who slid.
Of course.
And I did like the matrix, like my hand went back to my back, and then he fell, and his like gummies went everywhere. It was pretty funny.
That's no good. I'm glad you're alive.
They were like those, I had the best that snow brings to the house.
What, huh?
The best that brings to the house, like when people walk in, and we constantly have people coming in and out of the house because that house.
Yep. All right, I'm going to call you up to get your iPads. Let's do this quickly. Let me give you actually the code for Nearpod so you can sign right on. We're going to do a quick review of just vocabulary as well. As soon as I can kind of get myself going here.
No, we should play instead of Nearpod.
Nearpod.
No, that's no. That's a no-go. Yeah, but when you win, you're like, oh my god, I love this game.
Because I'm winning.
Right.
Like playing.
I just like it because it's exciting. Got hit the button. We should all go on Jeopardy. Is that where you hit a button?
What'd you say?
I said Cahoots is exciting where you gotta like you know tap like they click the button. I said we should all go on Jeopardy. Maybe we should just pay more.
If they had a science Jeopardy, I'd be all about it. Okay, so.
I'd be on our team, but I've never answered because I wouldn't. I just hit the buzzer and think, what's the computer?
Okay, guys, here's your Nearpod code. When you get your iPad, just go on to Nearpod and sign in the joining code. Don't sign up. Don't go online to it. Just go to the Nearpod app and just put that in the join session code, all right? We call you up here for your iPads. I can go backwards. Okay, I'm going to give her all three of your houses. Yeah, one of you come up here and I'll give you all of yours. Whoever wants to come up. All right, so Sierra. Okay, who of you three is coming up? You? Haley. There you go. Morrissey. I'm going to give you Sean and Jeremiah's as well. Go.
Sure. Y'all look like ours, Teacher Hall.
Danny.
Yeah.
Tyler.
We all know you're old.
I joined it.
Holden. DJ. Ninja, come right up on me. Daniel. Jamia. Roseanne. Casey. Sandro. And William. quickly, 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 please.
You get them done at a regular.
Okay, guys, here's your code. I hope everyone's on here. Let's go. Go to the Nearpod app, and then here's your join code. Yep. Can you, what? Yeah, go quickly before we get started. That actually we might be a little started, but you're all right. Did you get your name in there though, Holden?
Yeah. So you're not going to
All right, get your name in there. Come on, guys, get your name in there. Send it in, please.
The movie is strictly important.
Get your name in there and hit
Dude,
send.
they sell it in the porn center.
I got Drew. Why are we talking about that?
Yeah,
I got Drew, Ivana, Haley, Holden, Jamia, Casey, Morrissey, Steven, William, Zinn.
You know, like 50 Shades of Grey?
Daniel G. You got me in there?
Why are we talking about that?
You're talking about 50 Shades.
I'm talking about 50 Shades of Grey.
Why?
Because we're talking, he asked me if I wanted to go see that, so the movie, the soundtrack played.
I'll watch this one.
I hear the soundtrack's awesome.
What soundtrack was it?
Was it good?
Like,
It wasn't good, really? I heard it was supposed to be for like adults too, so.
I didn't like it.
I love SpongeBob.
I didn't like it.
Oh, you saw that too?
I didn't see it. Tyler said he saw it, but I love the show. I haven't seen the movie.
I didn't. It wasn't all.
Who am I missing?
I didn't like
Anybody?
it.
Me?
Looks like I got 2 people in here that don't have their names in yet. So let's
Yeah.
move in here.
Plus they weren't on.
Again, we got a short class. We got to rush through this. All right, let's do a quick, since we don't have time for a bell ringer today, a quick review. Homozygous versus heterozygous. What's the difference? Okay, good. Homo's the same. And then what's heterozygous? Different. Good. So if you have a dominant and a recessive allele, is that going to be homozygous or heterozygous? Hetero, because it's different. You got a dominant and a recessive, it's heterozygous. What about if you have a homozygous with 2 dominants? That's called dominant homozygous, or homozygous dominant. If you have 2 recessives, it's homozygous recessive. So which one's stronger, the dominant or the recessive? Dominant, always. So if you have a heterozygous with a dominant and a recessive trait, which trait's going to win? The dominant trait. Okay, good. And then really quickly, what's the difference between genotype and phenotype? Okay, I heard some mumbling. Can you share that with the rest of the class? Y'all were correct. Y'all were correct.
He said, you know, that's how I'm doing.
I was about to say, isn't it boring?
And yes, physical. So you already got it right too. Phenotype is physical. Just remember the pH. Genotype is the genes. That's the alleles that you have. All right, guys, I see too many people on their phones. Let's get your phones away, please. We got a lot to do today, so I want to get going. All right. Let me actually get back to this. So, genetics. That's what we've been studying. Genetics is basically just the study of heredity. That's what it is. We're learning about heredity and how we pass down genes. All right, it's going to go back to your names. Don't worry about it. I'm going to skip over it. Okay, probability. What's the probability of flipping heads when you flip a quarter?
50-50.
It's 50-50,
It's really
right?
not, though. It's not.
Well, it is. That's the probability. But is it always the actual? I mean, you could flip 10 tails in a row, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Good.
That's the problem.
It's a probability, but the actual is not always the probability. But it's pretty close. I don't know. That'd be pretty nifty if you could get it to work like that. All right. The point is, there's a probability. Just as there's a probability in figuring out what the genotype of a child is going to be if you know the genotype of the parents. All right? We have someone here over practicing. All right, so the way that you do that is through these things called Punnett squares. Anyone ever heard of the Punnett square or done the Punnett square? Yeah, you probably forgot about it. And they're not too difficult, but that's how we're going to predict genotypes of offspring. Okay? We're going to predict using Punnett squares. This dude right here, Reginald Punnett, is the guy that developed these. Okay? And all these guys that figure things out get to put their name on these things. So that's why it's called the Punnett square. And it's basically a diagram used to predict possible offspring of 2 parents. Okay? So that's what we're going to learn how to do today. All right, here's how it kind of works. All right, so you can see in the picture on the left, you got mom and dad, and we know the genotypes of mom and dad. Mom has a big B, big B, and dad has a big B, big B. So, what allele can mom give? The big B. Can she ever give a little b?
No.
No, she doesn't have a little b allele. She only has two big B's. Her two alleles are both dominant. What about dad? What can he give? The dominant or the recessive? Always the dominant. Very good. So their child is always going to be what genotype?
Big B.
Yeah, it's going to be big B, big B. They can never have a child that has the recessive allele, correct? Okay, what about the one on the right? Mom has a little b, dad has a little b. What are their kids going to be?
Little B.
Always, because mom can only give the little b and dad can always only give the little b. So those are easy ones. But they get a little more complicated than that.
So like, what if the mom just had one big B and one?
That's what we're going to do next. Okay? So here's kind of what Holden was talking about. Great question. Okay, let's say mom is heterozygous and so is dad. And heterozygous again means what? Same or different? Different. And they are different because they have one big B and one little b. They have one dominant and one recessive. Both parents do. Okay? So that means mom can either give the big B allele or she can pass down the little b allele. It's a 50-50 shot. Same with dad. He can either pass the big B allele down to the kid or the little b allele. Therefore, we're going to get different combinations, which is what the Punnett square is going to tell us. Yeah, I'm just talking about handing down the alleles. Because mom has two alleles, right? So she has a 50% chance of passing down the big B or a 50% chance of passing down the little b. It's like flipping a coin. The little
Like,
yes. So let's pretend like this is brown as and blue as. The big B can be brown and the little b can be blue. Mom, it's like flipping a quarter. Mom can either flip heads or tails. Either the kid's going to get the big B or it's going to get the little b. It's a 50-50 shot. Okay? The previous slide, there's no way. Mom can only give a big B on the left side, and mom can only give a little b on the right side. But here she has both alleles. She has a dominant and recessive. So she can pass down either one. Same with dad. All right, so let's move on to Punnett squares and how to do
no,
this.
I would say like one part got big B, little B, one part got like big B.
That can happen too. And we're going to figure that out using Punnett squares, which is what we're going to do. Great question. All right, so the first thing you do when you're doing a Punnett square is you're going to make a 2x2 grid. So you have 4 squares there. Everyone see that? And you're going to draw one of these in a minute. So everyone see that? Yes, you're going to draw one of these. So everyone sees the squares? Are we following along? Okay. Okay. Yes, oh sorry honey. You can still figure that out by Punnett squares.
Would that part dominant always take over, or would it be
Well, you got one pair, it depends, because would you say dad has a big B and a little b or something? He could pass down the little b, but the kid can have the recessive trait. Depends on if they get the dominant or the recessive from dad. Okay, but Punnett squares allow you to figure that out. Okay, these are great questions. You're going to figure out how to do this though. All right, so you draw your grid first. Then what you need to do is take the alleles for mom and dad and put them on the grid here. Okay, so it tells us the example. We're going to have, for this example, let's consider it a genotype of a big W crossed with a little w. Okay, so one of the parents has the 2 dominants, the other parent has the 2 recessives. So we need to put those on the grid somehow. This is how you do that. Okay? So, and it doesn't matter which side you do it on. Okay? But you start with the first parent, they have a big W. So those are the 2 alleles that can be passed down from that parent.
Does it matter where you put them?
You need to do, it's kind of a rule of thumb to do the top and the left side. But it doesn't matter, like, so if you started with the big W, it doesn't matter if you put those on top or the side.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah, does not matter. Great question. Doesn't matter. You just need to make sure you have the right alleles in the right spot, like next to each other.
Okay.
Because one parent has a big W, so that needs to go next to each other.
Right.
And then the other parent has a little w, that needs to go next to each other. Does everyone understand that?
Yes.
Are you sure? Because you're about to draw one. Do you have any questions?
We do this about
Good. It's kind of like that, actually. That's what we talked about last class. All right, so notice only one letter goes above each box or next to each box. You have to kind of split the alleles up. And it doesn't matter which parent's genotype goes on either side, like what Daniel asked. All right, so now what you're going to do, just draw the box. You don't need to fill in the squares. I just want you to draw the grid and put the alleles on the top and the side. You don't need to fill in the boxes. So draw your grid and then send it to me. What?
You removed the letters.
Oh, you should be, can it not open? Oh, hit this little arrow. Wait a minute, where'd yours go?
I remember it was.
Yeah.
Can you not see? Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Oh.
Good, and you're right, so send that to me. Send it as soon as you get it done, guys. Good.
What was the letters?
2 capital R.
Yeah, and you can hit this little, well, where yours is. If you hit that little pencil, it'll tell you what the letters were again. Let's see where yours is. There you go. Okay, make sure you press send. I want to get these in, and I'm going to share some of these out. What? Did you really?
Oh man.
That's all right. Yeah. Send it again, Matt? Yeah, I wanted the letter counting, but that's okay. I'm going to send out ones that did it correctly, so we can see what we were supposed to do, okay? Okay, let me see who I'm waiting on. Okay, yeah, Morrissey, Steven, Danny, Haley. Make sure you hit send. William.
Oh, we gotta wait for
Okay. All right, good. Okay, some of you already filled them out too, which is excellent. That means you're kind of ahead of the game and you know how to do this. All right, let me send one out that's correct. I like this one because it's got some different colors. Okay, so that's what it should look
Oh
like.
man.
Notice though that you could have switched it. You could have had the big R on the top and the big R, little r on the left. It doesn't matter. But that's what everyone should have looked like. Any questions?
No, man.
This looks fun.
Good job, Casey. All right, so moving on, we're going to learn how to fill in the boxes. And this gets a little more complicated, so please ask questions if you have any questions. All right, let me draw this out actually because it'll make a little more sense rather than looking at all these crazy arrows. And I'm going to use the W's that were used here. So let's say you have your grid. And you have, let's see, big W, and you want to make sure that you can tell your big W and your little w apart because they look exactly the same except for the size. So make sure you really emphasize the difference, okay? Now what you need to do, and I think someone pointed out, Casey, this was the one that's kind of like math that you all did in your math class. You're going to fill in this box by bringing down and across where they meet. So this big W is going to go here, and this little w is going to go here. Does that make sense? Okay. What's going to go in this box then? Because you're bringing this one down and this one over. So big W, little w. What about here? Yep. Big W, little w. This goes down and this goes over. And then what about this one? Same thing. Okay? So these parents pretty much are going to make this kid no matter what. This is the only options.
So big W, the capitalized letter always goes first.
Yes, that was my next thing. Okay, and I think it says it here. All right. So look on your screen. Look on your screen.
Yeah.
Draw my little people with their heads down, have their eyes open. All right. Look on your screen. Make sure that when you draw these, that you can tell the difference between the capital and the lowercase. And then also, who just asked me this? Was it Daniel? Who just asked me this about the capital and the? Did you just ask me this? I don't know. You have to always write the capital first. So if you have a heterozygous individual that has a dominant and recessive, always, or hold it, I think you asked me, always write the dominant first and then the recessive. Okay, so that's why you see in every square the big W is written before the little W. Make sense? Are we all there? Because we're getting ready to draw one of these. Any questions? All right. Okay, fill in the squares for me.
Are you sitting?
Fill in the squares and then send me. This is just a different example. Yeah, this is a different example than the first one. The W's that we just did is a different example. So fill in the boxes on based on what's on there. Yeah? Yes, good job. And please, please, please ask questions if you all don't understand this, okay?
Check that landscape design.
You can make that bigger too. That's fine. Okay, make sure you send these in, guys. I see some people that are done. Make sure you hit send.
Landscape, you do everything. You use the weed. Like, you do everything. But now,
See who I'm waiting on.
so you gotta do.
Okay, you're good. Holden, I still need you, hon. Tyler. William. Tyler, make sure you hit send, babe. You're good. Guys, make sure you hit send. Don't worry, you're not good. That's not like Yes.
Teachers do lessons every single day.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes. Hours. When I get home, so I go to bed. Hours all the time, yes. It's constant.
How do you live like that? Like, how is that possible?
What is it? Well, I obviously make time for behavior every once in a while, and like, it's not like this. I'm pretty much have my laptop top out at all times. Doing lessons or grading, or yeah.
I want to drop it.
Okay, here is one that is correct. Okay, with the cute little dots on it. All right. So look, you got. Does everything look correct there? Does anything look wrong?
Yeah.
Everything looks good? Yeah. Okay. Everyone understand how to do this? Now, this is a longer class. We have 44 minutes. I mean, longer than the first two that
We
were
leave at
32.
32.
32.
Right.
Our normal, we're on like normal time now. All right. Anybody have any questions about this before we move on? Okay, because I think that we have another example.
Oh, boy.
Okay. See if you can figure this one out. This one's tough because it doesn't give you the genotypes, it gives you vocab. It gives you vocab.
I need to see it again.
You should be able to hit the little, this thing. Okay, guys, there's like a little circle with a pencil in it if you need to read it again. This is tough though.
Are we making the boxes?
You're going to make the boxes, but first you got to figure out the genotypes of the parents based on the vocab it's giving you. So you got to remember what heterozygous means and what homozygous means and how you can show the recessive trait. See if you can figure out, if anyone can figure out the genotypes, let me know and we can do it together.
Don't we get a piece of candy?
You get a piece of candy for figuring out the genotype? No, you don't get a piece of candy.
We've been gone for what?
Okay, here, I got it.
We've been gone for a whole week.
Good. Excellent. So there's one. Yes. I'll give you the heterozygous. Nope, that's not right.
I'm confused, Dr. Brown.
Nope, that's not right either.
Dr. Brown, I'm confused.
All right, let's go over this.
Hold on.
Is mine right?
You want to try?
If I'm wrong, it's called Murphy.
Come on, you need to understand this.
Dr.
all
Brown,
right?
They have like add-ons.
I'm confused.
Okay, this is right. These two are not. Okay, so think about what the blonde will be.
No.
Oh, you got one of them right.
Doctor,
This is tough.
Can you come here?
Yes.
I can be.
All right, so let's think about it. Where it says a heterozygous redhead, what is the genotype going to be?
The redhead R.
Capital
A big R, little r. Okay? Well, it's heterozygous. Remember, they have the dominant and recessive. If it ever says heterozygous, you have to put both. So one parent is going to be big R, little r, right? We good? Okay, then it says blonde. What's the genotype of a blonde going to be?
R.
The small R's, two small R's.
Why?
Because blonde is recessive.
Good. Blonde is recessive, and the only time you'll see the blonde trait is if you have both recessive alleles.
I used to
If
think
you have a
blonde
big
was
R, little R,
BLNDE.
some people spell it that way.
Is it right?
Yeah, you can spell it
Right.
other place.
Oh.
Some have different spellings. Okay, but does that make sense? Blonde, to be blonde, you have to have both recessive alleles. So our parents are going to be big R, little r, and then you're going to cross that with a little r, little r. Okay, so do that Punnett square for me and send it.
Wait.
Confused.
Okay, who,
That's right.
let me get Haley and then I'll get you. Well, what's this allele going to be and what's that allele going to be? You actually, those are wrong. Erase those two to think about it.
Dr. Brown.
Okay, but you need to write them on the top and the left. You can't fill these in until you write those out, okay? So erase those squares and get the top and the outside first.
This says they're heterozygous.
What does? Which side? Right here?
I wouldn't think it.
Yeah, so you're making a cross between a heterozygous redhead, which would be a big R little y, and a blonde, which would be what? No, heterozygous redhead and a blonde. So those are the two parents. One parent is a heterozygous redhead, the other parent is a blonde.
Dr. Brown, can you come up to this?
Yeah, homo what? Is it dominant or recessive? Homozygous, dominant or recessive? You pick it. So what are the letters going to be?
I don't care. I just did it.
No, yeah, those are the two parents. Okay, who else needs help? Where are we?
I just did mine because I was done.
You're writing too much over here. It's just right there. Yeah, like this. That's what it, see? That's a little r, little r. Makes sense? Okay. That's it. That's it. Good job. Where are we at? Who else needs help?
He yelled at me. Was she here? I don't know. He yelled at me because I grabbed his pencil and he was sick.
Hey, waiting on DJ, waiting on Daniel,
I'm about to get just a few. Can you just skip me? Can you skip me?
and Zen.
Don't touch
Yeah, if I need you, I can, but, and then there's their eraser.
Do that.
That was after me. Don't touch my pencil.
Anyone need help?
Don't stick. Don't touch it.
These are tougher when you have to understand the vocabulary, but you have to understand how to figure out genotype from
I'm about
vocab.
to get this done.
You're good, you're good. I might just move on with Dasha while you're writing it in, okay? All right, I'm going to share some of these out. I'm going to share one of these out. Let's do this one. All right. This is what it should look like.
Oh.
Okay? Because one was a heterozygous individual, which is a big R, little r, and the blonde has to be homozygous recessive, because that's the only way that person can be blonde, is to have the two recessive alleles. Make sense? Okay? And then you do all the crosses. Everyone understand how to do the crosses? Any questions?
Hey, I got it now. I really do.
You got it? Okay. Anyone have any questions before we move on? Because we're going to add something else into this. So any questions? All right, let's see what we have next. Okay, here's another practice. Here's another practice. I want you all, guys, the best way to learn these is practice, practice, practice. Okay, so this Nearpod activity is going to kind of have a bunch of these practices.
Would this be right, Dr. Wright? If I did the little.
Okay, so I got the dominant. So which one's this? Is this the homozygous rat with black eyes or the rat with red eyes? Okay, and then what's that one going to be? Because this
Don't
one
even
won't
know
have
what
black eyes, right? Because it has a dominant. Good, okay, see.
I need to know. I need to know what we're
Be right there to see her. What's that?
I don't even know what we're
Okay, well, you draw that grid back. We need that grid. So get that grid. Good. That's it, Sierra. That's it.
Did I do it?
I'll be right there, Ivana. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is take the alleles and put 2 of them here and 2 of them here. So let's figure out the allele for this individual. A homozygous rat with black eyes. What's the genotype going to be for that? Homozygous with black eyes. What do you think? Bigs, little? Well, remember,
Big and little.
there's only 3 options, so let's write them out here. You have B, little b, or you have little b, little b. Those are the only 3 options. So which one of these is a homozygous rat with black eyes?
I said the opposite of the first one.
Okay? If the black eyes are dominant, black eyes are the big B.
Oh, so then.
Yes, that one. So then you can write that here. So write a big B here and a big B there. Okay? Now let's figure out what this one is. A rat with red eyes. Which one would be a rat with red eyes? So now write the little b there. Good. Now cross them. Okay? Do you understand how to do that? Yes. Yes. Okay, so just keep crossing them. Yes, excellent. Who else needs help? Are you good, Andrew? Does it make sense? Okay. Good.
I was a little weird to be up here.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Guys, you're doing really, really, really good. Let me look through here. Hey.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
That's a B.
First one did actually put in ours. I tried to get off it.
I know, all these different, you gotta pay attention to what letters are given to you because it gets a little crazy. All right, guys, I'm gonna need to move on. So, I'm gonna share out what the answer should be. Those of you who do not get it right, I really need you to, there was just a few of you guys, but I really need you, I'm gonna do this one because it's color coded and I like it. Okay, because it's got the red eyes and the black eyes. All right, so, look at this one and see if yours was similar to this. Because the black-eyed rat has to have 2 big B's, and the red-eyed rat has to have 2 little B's. Okay, because it says it's a homozygous black-eyed. So it has to be 2 big B's, not a big B and a little B. Questions about this one? All right, one last thing we need to talk about is interpreting the Punnett squares. This is where we're going to talk about the probability. Once you do a Punnett square, you can figure out the probability that certain parents are going to have a certain offspring. Okay? Can you get that away for me, please? Guys, get your phones away. Come on. We're almost done. Get your phones away. All right. So if we're looking at this in the example right here, we have a parent that has a big P, and a parent that has a little p. All of their offspring has big P, little p, right?
Yes.
So what's the probability that they're going to have an offspring that's heterozygous? 100%. Because 4 out of the 4 squares is going to be big P, little p, right? Makes sense? I saw her first, and I'll get you.
So if they're all the same,
100%. Good. Good. So like for instance,
How are they all the same? One is big, one is small.
So that means
because if you cross them all, you get big P, little p, big P, little p, big P, little p. Try each square. It's always going to be big P, little p. Yes. Yes. So all of their children are going to be that trait no matter what. There's no way. All right. So yes, Sierra, that was a good question. Let's say only 1 square out of the 4 had the trait we were looking for. What would the probability be of that parents having children with that? 1 out of the 4.
50. 25.
25%, because 1 out of the 4. What if they had 2 out of the 4 squares with this trait? 50, then 3 out of the 4. Good. Looking at this, can any of those, what's the probability of them having a little p child?
a lot.
Little p, little p.
It's
It'd be
not.
0. It's
Yeah,
0%.
it's not.
Yes, it's 0%. All right, let's see. We have a little bit of time. Let's do one more example, and I need to collect the iPads. No, not that. Actually, we'll go ahead and do this one. Do this one.
No, do this.
And you should be, yeah, I want you to just figure out the probabilities. So write in the probabilities.
Just the percent.
Well, so what you need to do on the side is write big B, little b, and then write the probability that they'll have a kid with that. Then write little b, write the probability of them having that. Good, Lana, that's what I want. Hey, you're just figuring out probability right here. Yes. So write out big B, little b. That's one of the combinations. And what's the probability of them having that? Okay, and then do the same thing with little b, little b. Looks like most of you are getting it quickly.
Aw. I don't know if this is right.
That is right. Okay. Then what would be the probability for a little b, little b? There you go. And you don't need to write that out. You just told me it's good. Go ahead and send it in though. Okay, we're going to try to do one more thing after this. We still have 7 minutes.
Is this right? Is this right?
Excellent. Excellent. That's good. I'm going to share that one out. I like it. Well, is this 100%?
I know I got it. I put big B, big B, big B.
Well, there's no big B on there. So what would be the...
I thought that this converted over to a big B, big B.
No, that's still big B, little b. That's a heterozygous and a homozygous. That's totally different things. This would actually be what? Have a big B, big B. What's the probability of that? No, that's not 100.
No, if it was that, it would be 100, right?
Well, look at the options. You have a big B, little b, or a little b, little b, or a little b, big B, little b. What's the probability that you have a big B, big B, big B child? That's it.
I don't know.
0%. 0%. 0%. Is that not on there? Okay? All right. I'm going to share this out so we can move on to the last one. So look here. This person even included the other genotype that wasn't on there, because to have 2 dominant, to be homozygous dominant, 0%. Little b, 50%, because 2 of the 4 squares are little b, little b. The other 2 are big B, little b, so that's another 50%. Everyone understand that? Okay. Last thing, as soon as you're done, bring your iPad up to me. Send it. So you got to do a Punnett square and then figure out percentage. As soon as you're done, bring your iPad up. And great job today, guys.
What?
I probably don't want to.
You have to do it this way.
When do we get reports, progress reports?
I think grades are due from us by Friday.
Like a final grade?
This Friday?
Yeah, the 6 week grading period.
Oh,
Okay, as soon as you're done, guys, just send it and bring your iPad up. This will be your last test to see if you understood everything.
Oh, that's so ugly.
That's all right if it's ugly. If you got all the right information, I don't care. It just kind of brings together everything you've learned today. So. As soon as you send, bring your iPad up to me, please.
Mine does that. It's getting on my nerves.
Look. What's wrong, honey?
No, oh, it's not doing it.
Oh, when it like clicks on and off? Yeah, it drives me nuts too. Thank you. Guys, you're gonna set them on top of the cart. Excellent job today. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about this? We're gonna have more practice tomorrow, but I want to make sure you understand it. Thank you, darling. You can just sit right there.
Oh, you want to be like up?
Thank you, darling. you. You can just set them on the top there, guys. I'll grab them. Make sure you hit send before you send this up to me. This is your final task. I want to see how you did on it.
Being in the club. Let's go here.
Yo.
Hey, do I have all iPads?
Momo McClain.
All right, guys, get your folders away. Please clean up your table. Make sure you get your trash. Y'all should be ringing any minute.